So if you spend any time on social media, you may have seen this picture before, okay? This is the infamous triggered woman. I don't know if you've seen that, but there's actually another one similar to it, kind of like it as well, this picture. And see, these pictures get used in a variety of memes that I cannot share today, but are pretty funny. But there was actually another moment, some of you guys might have saw this on the news, there was a Phillies game that happened. And this dad actually got a home run ball, walks it back over to his son, whose birthday it was. They have a cute hug moment, and a woman comes over, confronts this guy, and it turns to this whole fiasco where she demands that it was her ball. Eventually, he didn't want to fight. He ends up giving this ball from his son back to this woman. Some of you guys might remember this from like 2 years ago. This video got posted online with this guy in a moment of road rage, starts punching at this person's window. His wife had to hold him back, and thank you to his pillow hands, the window left unharmed. But it's kind of funny, these images and these clips have just become fixtures in our culture because they capture one of the most real and raw human emotions that every single one of us experiences, and that is anger. The Colorado Department of Transportation posted a study just this year that found Colorado ranks third in the nation for road rage. We're third right now, guys. Anybody feel like that sounds accurate? You feel like we're up there? Guys, we only got 2 spots to go. Come on, let's keep doing this thing. We're close to the top. Over the last 10 years, there's been a 450% increase in road-related shootings. This blew my mind. 66% of all traffic fatalities are related to road rage. Now, Gallup even did a study where they asked, do you feel like people are angrier in this generation compared to the last? 84% said yes. Now, I don't know if you guys agree with this. This is just apparently what the studies show. Women are more likely to get angry with people. Men are more likely to get angry with situations. Okay, that's just what it says. So ladies, apparently you start to get real frustrated when it's an interpersonal thing. Guys, we just get mad when the remote doesn't work. Like that's kind of more like the man kind of vibe thing. Now this is interesting. Where do you think people are when they are the most angry? What location would you guess? And you might think it's car. Some people might guess car. You might work. You might think work. You know what it actually is? It's home. I heard home. It's actually your house. People are most likely to experience the most rage in their own home because apparently you get most frustrated with the people you live with. Amen, anybody? Amen? Okay. Now, based on all that stuff, you could make the case that we live in what maybe you would call an age of rage. Maybe you've noticed too, people are just a little bit more touchy, maybe, than we felt like they've been in the past. A little bit more easily set off, a little more easily worked up. I'll tell you guys right now, I am having a hard time being on social media right now. It's just been a hard couple weeks, man, because there is just a lot of energy behind the posts I'm seeing. But this is just a universal human experience. I mean, literally, from the youngest little baby throwing a fit, all the way up to nursing home residents that are a little crotchety, right? It covers the whole span of people. And in any typical week, if you're a parent here, this is any typical day, you're gonna get a little hot, right? You're gonna get a little frustrated. You might even fly off the handle. You're gonna start losing a little bit of your temper. Some random person posts something online that's ignorant. You just kind of wanna go full keyboard warrior on them. That person starts cutting into your lane in traffic. You just kind of wanna lay on that horn a little harder than normal, don't you? Guys, today, this is gonna happen to you today. Some 23-year-old kid is gonna miss a pass and mess up your fantasy team, and you are gonna rage at the TV. Because you're gonna lose $20 in some league that you're part of with your friends. And then, isn't this so funny how we explain this too? We say, oh no, but here's the thing, I'm just Italian, you know? Or we're Greek, that's just what we do. Or you're like, I took all these personality tests and my Myers-Briggs is J-E-R-K, that's just what my letters are. And isn't it funny though, how every single one of us, your anger's got you in trouble. Oh my goodness, you have those moments where you start saying the words as they're coming out of your mouth, you are trying to get them back in there if you can, right? Real talk right now. Some of us in here, you have had to repair your own property because you damaged it while you were having a fit, right? Yeah, you did. I don't think I'm the only one who does this. You play out those imaginary scenarios in your minds with other people. They didn't even happen, but you're winning the argument in your mind. You're sticking it to them. You have the perfect comeback, just playing out a whole movie in your head. 3 weeks ago, we launched this series we're going to be in the fall. We are calling Thrive. And this is a series where we're actually touching some of the themes and topics from a book in the Bible called Proverbs. And it was written by Solomon, who's considered the wisest man who ever lived. And the whole premise of Proverbs is, if you want to thrive in life, you really want to experience everything God has for you, you absolutely must get wisdom. That's what this whole book is about. Because wisdom, according to the Bible, is just skill at life. That's all it is. It's not intellect, it's not academics, it is just getting good at life. So that's everything Proverbs is trying to do. Now, Solomon actually spends a lot of ink talking about this one particular topic today of anger. He's got a lot to say about it. And basically what Solomon's going to say here in these coming verses is your life could be so much better if you could just figure out how to handle this one single emotion in your life. And so just to kind of like get this thing kicked off, let's just touch a few verses here just to kind of introduce the idea. Here's what Solomon says, Proverbs 29, fools give full vent to their rage. Another one here, every fool is quick to quarrel. Chapter 12, fools show their annoyance at once. And look at chapter 26, just as coals and wood keep a fire going, a quarrelsome person keeps an argument going. And even beyond Proverbs, Solomon wrote a book called Ecclesiastes where he says this, anger dwells in the heart of fools. So what is Solomon saying here? He's saying there are very clear signs and symptoms of somebody who does not have a good handle on their emotions. You're going to be able to recognize it. And I'm about to put a cheesy graphic on the screen. I hesitate to even put this up because it's so cheesy, but I know images sometimes help. Anger is sometimes described as a secondary emotion. Okay, so what they say, they'll kind of use this image of like an anger iceberg up there, and they'll say like, yes, you're angry on top, but usually on a deeper level, there are a lot of other feelings driving what's going on. So this is not as simple as like, oh, I'm just mad. And actually, this fits exactly with the biblical understanding of how this works. Look what James says in the New Testament. He says, what causes fights and quarrels among you? Don't they come from your desires that battle within you? So what do we often do? We are so quick to blame our external environment for the emotions we're experiencing, right? Oh, my kids are driving me crazy. My spouse is an idiot. My coworkers are annoying. And then James here says, well, hold on. This isn't even so much about the battle happening around you. You have a battle inside of you. And there is a war zone in your soul that you are experiencing. And that is what is causing a lot of the drama in your life. And so we can't be so quick just to blame external factors for our frustrations. I actually experienced this firsthand just the other week. We started out the soccer season for our kids just a few weeks ago, and I apologize to vent all my kids' sports frustrations with you guys. You are cheaper than therapy for me, okay? So give me another minute here. But a couple weeks ago, my kids start their season. I'm coaching both of their teams, you know, soccer, it's all fun and cute. And Brinley, my daughter's team, was first up that day. And so these girls, they're so cute. They made little bracelets for each other. They put their little hands and they go, Wave Riders! And they're super cute. And so, as expected, this first game, my girls dominated. They were my little stormtroopers in the little galaxy overtaking all these other kids. And it was a beautiful sight of carnage. And I loved every minute of it. And so after the game, when I finished talking to the press and signing autographs, we actually headed over to Easton's game. Now, right before Easton's game started, I noticed that one of the guys coaching the other team was someone I coached baseball with this summer. And so the thought may have crossed my mind, it's gonna be fun dominating this guy too. I'm gonna have fun beating this guy down on the ground. And so before the first half was even over, it was already 5-0. And my team was getting destroyed. No, guys, this was absolute Armageddon on the field. Like, I kid you not. This was Mike Tyson and Urkel going up in a boxing match. It was so ugly. The ref, I kid you not, at one point in time felt so bad for my boys, he started trying to encourage them in the middle of the game. He's like, there you go, Timmy, you can kick the ball too, you got it. It was pathetic. And so halftime comes around, and I'm gonna be real with you guys. I was a little hot. And I can't fire any of these kids because it's rec soccer, so I have to deal with the team I got. So I sit these kids down, I start doing just my mid-game pep talk. I'm like, boys, you don't even look like you want to win this thing. Like, come on, what's going on here? And see, the parents from a distance are probably thinking, oh, there's Brian, giving a little challenge to my boys, helping being a good coach and whatnot. But I was just learning about this whole anger as a secondary emotion thing. And I started to realize I wasn't just mad because I was passionate about these boys getting better at soccer. You know why I was really frustrated? Because I felt stupid. I felt like I was getting my pants pulled down in front of all these parents, in front of all these little kids, even in front of this other coach that didn't even know I was having a secret battle with him, trying to beat his team. And so yes, my words on the surface to these boys were like, come on, you gotta get in there, you gotta go after it. But if I was speaking the true words of my heart, you know what I would have been saying to these boys? Kids, you know why I'm so frustrated? Because I am a pathetic, insecure, middle-aged man who gets his sense of validation and significance from how 8-year-old boys perform in a meaningless soccer game. What makes you angry? What makes you angry? Why do you get so testy sometimes? Why do you end up in those moods like a lot? Why does your temper just kind of start to flare with people? Why are you just so offended by people? Why are you flying off the handle? Sometimes saying some real hard stuff. A lot of times to the people you're supposed to love the most. It's so easy to slip into these habits and these patterns of how we handle our tempers and our emotions without ever really confronting what's going on inside of our hearts. And so you may have a reason to be angry, but you do not have a right to sin. And so that's why we really need to take a minute here and figure out, how do we start dealing with the anger and the rage that we experience in our lives? Where do you even begin with this stuff? And so I want to talk for a minute about managing anger. I want to lean into this, and we're going to just cover a couple points just because the Bible speaks very clearly to dealing with this. It takes it very seriously, actually. And so even if you start digging into the word, you'll see one thing the Bible tells us to do is you have to make sure that you don't give it space. You don't give it space. Now, Paul in the New Testament, this letter of Ephesians, he says this: in your anger, do not sin. Do not let the sun go down while you are still angry, and do not give the devil a foothold. Now, catch this. This is what's so interesting. Paul is saying that feeling angry is not necessarily sinful. Okay, so it's not always wrong, because Paul's not saying, hey, don't be angry. Did you see what he said? He said, hey, just don't sin if you are. It's what we do with our anger that's the issue. That's why this idea of managing anger is the headline here. It's not eliminating anger from your life, it's managing it. That's what we're trying to figure out right now. And Paul says one of the best ways to manage the anger in your life is to not give it space in your life. Now, the way he says it is, don't let the sun go down while you're still angry. So Paul's saying, make sure you limit space so anger does not start to take root and cause bitterness and greater rage and even start to poison your soul. Now, today's kind of a special day. Nicole and I are actually celebrating an anniversary today. So happy anniversary, babe. It's good to have you. Yes, that's a clap moment right there. And we said, we're going to celebrate it with you guys. That's how we're celebrating right now. But so Nicole and I have been married, anniversary today, so I thought this is a great day to talk about one of our good fights we've had before. Okay, perfect time. And I don't even know, Nicole, if you remember this, but early in our marriage, Nicole and I had one of our first real big fights. Now, we've been married long enough, we don't even fight anymore. We're perfect. Ask Nicole what happened yesterday in our family. But so we had one of our first big fights as newlyweds, and Nicole hadn't apologized yet, so we were stuck in stalemate, and we had to get it figured out. But man, if you're married, fights are weird sometimes because you have to go to bed at some point. The problem with fighting with your spouse is you share the bed, and then you do all those psychological warfare tactics, in the middle of that fight, right? You don't speak a word. Because first person to talk loses. That's one of the unwritten rules of it. Back to back, right? You can't be facing each other when you're fighting like this. Pull the sheets over just so they know that you're still aware of what's going on. And so all the fight things are happening. And I still remember Nicole, she leans over, she's like, hey, there's that verse in the Bible. You know it, right? Come on, don't let the sun go down on your anger. Of course, man, I was listening to the presence of God in the room and everything. So I was like, you know what, babe, you are right. How about we do this tomorrow after we go to sleep and we'll wait. But we leaned into it, and I think that fight started Sunday night, and we didn't go to bed till Wednesday as we were trying to figure that out. But this is what's so crazy about what Paul says. Basically what Paul's saying is you have the power to deal with your anger faster than you think. He says you can handle this before you even go to bed. I heard someone once say it this way, the day of your hurt can also be the day of your healing. And the reason why Paul is saying you have to really have some urgency around dealing with what's going on in your heart is he says the risk is if you let anger start festering is you can actually allow a foothold for the devil. Now, this foothold word Paul is using is actually a military term of giving an enemy a place or position that they can use against you. And so Paul is literally saying, as you harbor anger in your heart, you are giving Satan space in your life to work. And to close that door as quickly as you can and not give space for sin or Satan to start to work in your life. So we can't give it space. Now, even after that first point, some people are thinking, you're like, okay, yeah, Brian, that makes perfect sense. Don't give anger any space in my life. Here's the problem though, Brian. By the time I even realize I'm angry, I've already sinned 14 times. Right? Doesn't it happen? You've already flown off the handle. It's too late. And so this is why this second point is so important. The second one is so key. You got to make sure you slow down. Got to slow down. Now let's go back to some of these passages we started the message in. Proverbs 20. This is the full verse. It is to one's honor to avoid strife. Okay, that's conflict, fights, arguments. But every fool is quick to quarrel. Go back to Proverbs 12. Fools show their annoyance at once, but the prudent overlook an insult. Now, what Solomon is saying is you can spot a fool very easily. And the way you spot them is they don't manage their anger well. They're reactive, they're explosive, their emotions start flying, and Solomon is like, this is a problem. So if you even go back to James in the New Testament, look what he says. Everyone, okay, this is all of us, this is for everybody, should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and this is the key right here, slow to become angry. Because human anger does not produce the righteousness that God desires. So what is the message of the Bible around anger? This is just like the key line right here. This is what the Bible's trying to tell us. It is not no to anger, it is slow to anger. Okay, I really can't harp this enough because I don't want anybody to misunderstand this when you leave today. Feeling angry is not necessarily sinful. Okay, you are never going to eliminate all the anger in your life. That's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to manage it. Now, James talks about human anger here. Okay, this is the anger we don't want. So this is when you start to rage about things that you should not be raging about and responding in ways that God would not want you to respond. But now there's an alternative form. This is the one we're looking for. The Bible will sometimes talk about righteous anger. Sometimes you can call this godly anger. And this is the type of anger that God feels about certain things, that we should feel about certain things in our life. And it's also an anger that responds in the way that God would respond in a situation. And this is the key characteristic of righteous anger. It's slow. It's very, very slow. Now, when I was a kid, I loved fireworks. I was a total pyro. And for all the men in the room, you know this, we never grow out of that, do we? I still love fireworks, okay? They're awesome. And one of the fireworks I loved as a kid with my friends was just black cats. If anybody remembers these fireworks, here's what I like about black cats. Very simple. They are the bread and butter of fireworks. No fancy sparks or colors or explosions. It's just you light it and it blows up. And so my friends and I, we would take whole packs of these things and throw them into sewers when I was a kid. We would blow up anything we could find. As much destruction as possible was even better. But you could sometimes untie the black cats and just have an individual one, and it would have a tiny little short gray wick at the end. And so what my friends would do is we would hold them in our hands and light them and try to see if we could throw them fast enough before they blew up. To which it is a miracle that I still have all of my fingers now as an adult. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, but that's what we did. Now, I thought it'd be kind of fun to actually do some fireworks here in church just for a minute. So I actually brought a firework from my collection at home, and it just says TNT on the side. I don't know what that means, but that sounds fun. And I didn't have a lighter, so I borrowed one from Pastor Brandon when he was having a smoke break before the service. So he let me borrow this real quick. And so I just thought, Marissa, do you want to help me out for a minute here? Just come up here. You don't have to come on stage, okay? So I just thought we could have a little fun here. You know, if you want to face everybody, I want them to see this. So can you actually hold this in your hand real quick? Now, don't throw it at anybody. You can't throw, I need you to hold it. So are you okay? Like, you want me just to light this thing? Don't drop it. Do not throw it. Girl, you are so brave. You should be saying no right now, okay? You really want to do this?
Not really.
Exactly, not really. Now, why does she want to do it? It's gonna blow up in her hand. And this is exactly how so many people feel with us. They're like, oh man, I don't even know when they're gonna blow up. You know, I don't even wanna say the thing because they might be in one of those moods right now. You know what, they come home in those moods all the time. You know, it's to not even mess with this because I'm not about to just light their fuse. Thank you, Marissa. Give her a hand, give her a hand. Here's what happens. We train people with our fuse. And what so many people learn is that person has a short fuse. And I'm not even gonna risk lighting that thing because it's about half a second. And so I'm even wondering today, how long is your fuse? How slow is your anger? How long does it take you just to blow up? Proverbs 19 says this, a person's wisdom yields, look at this, patience. Slow. It's to one's glory to overlook an offense. Here's what will happen. The wiser you become, the longer your fuse will be. Okay, you're not gonna start getting testy over little petty stuff. You're not just gonna start flying off the handle over every little inconvenience in your life. Even when other people start raising their voices and escalating, you are gonna be able just to stay calm. Your fuse is not gonna get lit. And even if it does, it's going to be very long before sparks even start to fly. Can we just stop for a second here? Think about how rare this is in our culture today. You almost never see this in our culture. Everybody's got a super short fuse. And even as I said, it's hard to even be on social media because just the fireworks are just going off all the time based on little comments, little posts, all the things. Nicole and I, again, just started a group here out of the church just this fall, hanging out all fall with 8 families, just loving getting to know these folks. And just this last week, we actually spent our entire group time just talking about how are you guys just feeling about what's going on in our culture today? Like, how are you processing it? And I'll tell you guys right now, it is way more healthy to actually sit in a room in person with people and look them in the eyes and process together instead of just reading all of the ridiculousness that gets posted all over social media. I'm telling you, it was great. Like everybody shared, there were even some different perspectives, opinions on some things. And I even loved what one woman even said herself. She said, you know, guys, you actually don't have to engage with everything. It's like you actually don't have to respond to everything you see. You don't always have to have something to say about it. And I kind of sat there, I'm like, you know what? I think sometimes we don't even realize that's an option. Because we think, well, no, they said the thing. I gotta let them know how I feel about that. No, they offended me. They need to know that. We gotta settle some scores here. Like, we think it's our duty to respond and engage in these ways. And God says, well, yeah, you could do that. Or, God says, you could choose to just overlook some stuff too. Solomon said, it is to your glory if you are able to overlook the offensive stuff that you experience in your life. Guys, some of us in here, we just gotta be honest. You just gotta let some stuff go. You just gotta be slow with it. Yes, what they said was hurtful. And maybe they meant it, maybe they didn't. Sometimes you just gotta overlook it. Yeah, they were not right. They were very wrong in that situation. You were the right one. Sometimes you just gotta let it go. Just overlook it. Oh man, it stings, man. You're still feeling it. It hurts. But God says there is glory in being able to overlook the offenses that you experience. Here's what will happen. If you practice this, here's what will happen. You will have less strife in your life. It's gonna go down in a big way. You're gonna realize that you're just not bubbling up all the time with those frustrations. You're gonna be able to move on with your life. Your fuse is not gonna be getting lit nearly as much. You're gonna have a much longer fuse, and I'm telling you, your life's gonna be a lot better. We're talking about thriving here. This is a thrive practice. Now, let me just be straight with you. Even if you get really good at this, you're very slow to anger, you're not someone who's super testy, you're not flying off the handle, no matter what you do, there are things in your life that are still gonna escalate. People are still gonna blow up on you. You're yourself in fights, it just happens. And this is why this third point is so important, because you can't avoid every engagement and every fight. You have to make sure when you end up in these moments where the heat's starting to turn up, that you watch your tone. You gotta watch your tone. Now let's get back to Proverbs here. I love this verse, Proverbs 15. A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. Isn't it so interesting that you can say the exact same phrase and it can mean two totally different things? Oh, hi. Oh, hi. Oh, I like your outfit. I like your outfit. Same exact words. And I know it sounds like a cliche, but it could not be more true. It's not just what you say, but how you say it, right? Every single time, even from a young age, we learn how to use our words to send second messages. We lace them with different weapons. And your tone can be the one single thing that lights somebody's fuse and the bombs start going off. A harsh word, you know what this actually means, what Solomon's talking about? It means a word that is intended to inflict pain. You're trying to put sting into it. That's the whole goal. That's what a harsh word is. But on the other hand, Solomon says a gentle answer actually turns away wrath and anger. Now catch that. That's so interesting. Solomon said answer. So here's what Solomon is already assuming. He's saying somebody's gonna be coming in hot towards you. And it's your answer that really is going to determine where this thing goes. So he says, the way you respond to people that are turning the heat up is going to determine everything. And your words can literally be water on the fire that is trying to turn into a fight. And it's all about how you speak to people. It's the how, not just the what. Man, have you guys ever tried fighting with somebody who remained calm before? Isn't that so annoying? That is so annoying. Man, this literally happened the other day. our daughter Brinley this summer, we went on a trip, and on this trip, she forgot her scooter. We forgot to pack it up, and it got left where we were. And it was just too far away. It was not worth going back for a scooter. So for the rest of the summer, I'm like, I don't want to buy a new one. All right, you lost it, girl. Lesson learned. But after a couple weeks, like our kids are just in a scooter phase right now. So I'm like, all right, we're going to buy this girl a new scooter. We're just going to do it. And so I actually ordered it like right on Amazon there. It was a brand new pink Razor scooter. So I am all pumped up about how excited she's gonna be about this new scooter. So I go up to her and I show her the picture of it. I'm like, look, Brinley, it's gonna be here in 2 days. And you know what I did not hear in that moment? Oh, Father, you are a gift from heaven itself. You are the greatest Father on planet Earth. I am blessed to have you as my Father. How grateful I am for thee. No, you know what I heard? I don't want pink. I wanted blue. And I'm like so caught off guard. I'm like, what? So I'm trying to reason with a 6-year-old girl. I'm like, well, hold on, Brinley, Easton's got a blue one. And how are you going to tell them apart? Have you ever learned you can't reason with a 6-year-old having a tantrum? So she's crying, she's losing her mind. And immediately in that moment, my fuse was lit, okay? She put a flamethrower on it. And I was like, here we go. And I blew up. I was like, are you kidding me? You are so ungrateful. This is my money. I'm paying for this thing. I go full dad mode on her, okay? I even show her, I'm like, look, I am unordering this scooter right now. It's not coming at all, okay? These are my parenting strategies. See, I was thinking about, man, all the lessons I was learning preparing this sermon. And so I just decided, you know what? I am going to apply absolutely none of it right now. And so I kept going. And it actually got so intense. I'm just letting you guys in our family. My son even comes over. He hits me thinking he's protecting his sister right there. He's like, Boosh! And so the kitchen is a full war zone now. Okay, there's craters everywhere. Bombs are going off. And then Nicole swoops in. And she says, Brinley, come on over here. Sit with Mom. They get on the couch. She's like, okay, tell me what's going on. Oh, you wanted blue, not pink? Yeah, that is really hard. You are suffering. And she starts talking to Brinley. She calms Easton down. I kid you not, like 5 minutes later, Brinley's not just better. She is a new person. She's like coming up and she's like, Dad, I just love you so much. You know what? Do you need the yard cleaned? I'm going to go clean up the dog poop. I think we need to tidy up the basement too. I will take care of it. Proverbs 29. Fools give full vent to their rage. Me. But the wise bring calm in the end. Nicole. Now, I want you to be really honest when I ask this question. I really want you to think about yourself here. Do you, in your own life, create calm, or do you create chaos? Really, which one are you? Are you calm or chaos? Because God has given every single person here the power to diffuse situations. He's given you the ability to de-escalate these moments you have with people. And he's giving you the power to totally transform your relationships if you will just watch how you engage. You gotta watch your tone in the way you talk to people. This can be as simple as you just slow yourself down. You don't let your fuse get lit. And as you're saying the words, you think about, how am I going to say this in a way that really shows this person love, that shows some real patience, that can bring some calm in the end. Now, this whole series we are calling Thrive, because that's what we all want. And you want to thrive in your life. You want to see God move in your life. You want to experience his blessings. And just think, how much better could your life be if you just figured out how to handle this one thing in your life? I'm sure, how many fights could you avoid? How much better would your marriage be? Your relationships at work? Think about if social media just learned how to do this. Like, how different could our world be if we just learned this one thing? You would have so much less petty stuff in your life. You would say so many less things that you regret. I'm telling you, you would start to thrive in ways that you never even imagined. But as good as this sounds, let's be honest, this is hard, man. Because before we even realize it, we're already lit. And fireworks start going off. And some of us in here, you never really thought about it, but today you need to start thinking about it. There's some deep stuff going on inside of you that's driving a lot of your anger that you have not dealt with. And you might even need some help to figure that out. You might need to get some professional help to figure out some of these things that are going on in your life. Some of us, it gets physical for you, and that is never okay. Intimidation, shows of force, you have a problem. You have a real problem. And just for all of us in here, truly, like, you might even ask yourself, are there any people I just need to apologize to in my life? Because they have been living in my blast zone for way too long. It's just not fair to them. And you look at this age of rage in our culture, this is so much deeper than just, we need to be nicer to each other. This goes way deeper than that. And I still remember a specific time in my life where my perspective on this totally shifted. See, years ago, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I did some bad stuff. I did. All of some bad stuff. Some pretty bad stuff. I'm gonna spare the details today. But there were some times where I would make decisions that were not just bad for me, they were bad for other people too. And I would do things that drastically impacted other people's lives in a bad way. And there was actually one particular time where I did some stuff that really affected this one guy I knew. And the thing is, I didn't know him well enough to know how he was going to respond when all the damage kind of like became clear. So I was bracing for impact when all of this came out into a head. Because I'm like, if he responds any way I respond, the spark's gonna start flying, bombs are gonna start going off. So I was just getting ready for it. But then this thing came to a head, and the bombs never went off. There was no explosion. And this guy ended up being so much more gracious than I even expected. Like, he was so much more kind than I ever knew. And he actually ended up paying for all the damages I did because I messed some stuff big time. He forgave me. And I was even able to move forward in my life from that season. And that experience transformed the way I think about anger, because I'm like, there is a way to manage this that can totally change people's lives. And actually, some of you guys, you might know this guy. You actually might know him. His name is Jesus. You see, I gave Jesus the ultimate insult. He created me. He gave me life. He has cared for me. He has provided for me everything I have ever needed. And I showed him no appreciation. I showed Jesus no gratitude. I actually damaged his property. I damaged my life. I've damaged the world in some significant ways through my own choices and decisions. But Jesus never went full rage mode on me. He never just got angry or flew off the handle. Actually, Jesus even went to a cross for me. And even as he was getting nails driven through his hands and feet, he did not cry out for vengeance and wrath. He cried out, "Father, forgive them." And so Jesus, he has been so patient with me. He has been so gentle with me. His fuse has been infinitely long in my life. And instead of getting the fire of his wrath and fury, Jesus has poured out the water of his love and grace all over my life. And this is what Psalm 103 says. The Lord is compassionate and gracious, slow to anger, abounding in love. When you encounter the real love of Jesus, here's what happens. You get an overwhelming experience of his grace and his patience and his goodness in your life. It flows into you. But then what you will start to notice is that very patience and goodness and grace starts to flow out of your life as well. You start to become more compassionate. You start to become more gracious. Your anger starts to slow down in your life and love overflows from you. I'll tell you this, you experience that, you're gonna be less argumentative because God's not argumentative with you. You're gonna be a lot less testy because God's not testy with you. And you're gonna find yourself just gracious to other people because this is exactly how Jesus has treated you. Church, in an age of rage, what would it look like if we just showed the world a different way? What if instead of all the anger and the vitriol, we showed the friends and family members and people we care about the abounding love of God? I'll tell you guys, that is what changes the world. And if you will just start living like this, letting the very love and grace of God pour through your life, here's what will happen. You are going to start to thrive. And the people around you are going to start to thrive too. So we're actually going to take some time to just worship and seek this Jesus that we're talking about. And this song that we're about to sing is about the transforming love of Jesus. This song talks about how it changes us, how God washes us clean. There's some lines here. It says, I don't talk like I used to. God changes the way you speak with people. It says, I've been washed from the inside. And so you become a new person through the love of Jesus. It changes the way you handle your emotions and your anger. I love this line in Ephesians. It says, he is so rich in kindness and grace that he purchased our freedom with the blood of his son and forgave our sins. Guys, that is the good news of Jesus today. That's worth a praise right there in that moment. And so let's stand together, church. Let's sing out to this God who is so good to us.